Friday's Eumidian Hatchery deck. Fun, maybe not the most competitive. So today, let's tune it up, take a slightly different direction, jam some Liliana of the Veils in there, and hopefully have some more success. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and this is kind of a follow-up video to Friday's video, which is something that I don't do very much. But we had 3 donations for Eumidian Hatchery, and I thought this would be a cool time to kind of turn this into a mini-series. So donation number 2 comes from Lore, who also wanted to see kind of a Loam Pox style deck. Although the one that we played Friday was a little more in the lands direction than this one is. Now, as far as mana goes, I have made some changes. And the biggest thing that I took away from Friday's video was that we had too many colorless sources in there. Trying to have Saga and Wasteland and Maze of Ith and the colorless Caracas that doesn't produce my actual colors and Dark Depths and Stage and all that stuff at the same time was just, frankly, too much. So we have gone much more conservative with the mana base this time around, and our colored sources greatly outnumber our colorless sources this time around. So we hopefully should not have very much trouble casting our spells. That's not to say that it will never happen, because after all, Smallpox is black, and a ton of these lands don't produce black, but hopefully this feels at least a little bit smoother. And one of the other things I thought was that I really needed Malevolent Rumble in the deck. I just really felt like I needed to hit Life from the Loam or another relevant payoff card in order to pop off. And I think Malevolent Rumble is going to help me find my Life from the Loam, while also digging for Wasteland or Urza Saga as a win condition, whatever it is that we actually need. Now, if memory serves, Lore's original list had like 1 Dark Depths and 1 Thespian Stage as alternative win conditions, which we do not have here. So, fundamentally, at our core, in Game 1, we are an Urza Saga deck. Now, in the post-sideboard games, we've got 4 of these guys. Like, we have a very clear I can board in extra win conditions plan. But in game 1, we would really like to Wasteland our opponent into Oblivion, Smallpox their lands out, remove a threat or 2, and then start pooping out Urza Saga construct tokens until we bury our opponent. We do not have Exploration this time around, though, so we can't make multiple land drops per turn cycle. Note that we are relatively heavy on graveyard hate here. We have 2 main deck spell bombs as well as a main deck Bojuka Bog that we can crop rotation for. So hopefully we can steal some games versus Reanimator and the like. And we have the removal spell here that I always forget the name of, Bitter Triumph, which can answer Tamiyo and the backside of Tamiyo and Karns and most things that Legacy has to offer. So let's see if this feels a little better than what we were working with on Friday. I had a blast playing Friday's deck, even if it didn't win all that many games. And folks, if you need any Eumidian hatcheries for your own decks, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order. You always get free shipping. They've got awesome customer service. If there's something you don't see online, you can send them a message with their order, and they can usually add it to their order. I've done that a couple of times, and it's great. Okay. Let's battle. Okay. I think this is a keep. This is probably early Urza's Saga beatdown, if I were to guess. Opponent keeps a card on top. This is very awkward in that I don't think I get to play around Daze this turn. Kind of need to know whether or not I need to leave Crop Rotation for Bojuka Bog available. Yeah. Multicolor deck woes. So if I don't think I need to leave Crop Rotation up immediately, I play Urza Saga as my land. And if I think I do need to keep Crop Rotation up immediately, which I think I do now that I see that like very aggressive Force of Negation, I'm gonna lead on this here. Yep. Fucking, oh, that's just a Traxa. That's just a Traxa. Bog. Get out. Note that because I want the flexibility of my land drops, I did not end up like getting a 1/1 into play immediately. Life from the Loam. That's pretty cool. I think I'm going to go float mana, crop rotation, sacrifice Bojuka Bog, pick up a wasteland, wasteland my opponent, start ticking towards graveyard hate, and then I can Life from the Loam and get back Bojuka Bog and wasteland. And it doesn't super matter if I don't make construct tokens with this. Wasteland, Bojuka Bog, we'll get a colored source. Yeah. Lay out Wasteland, pass the turn with the intention of getting Undercity Sewers. See what my opponent's got. It's just another Surveil land. So there's now probably one Archon of Cruelty in their deck that we super care about. And it was not randomly gotten there, so that's great. I am fine wastelanding one of these. My opponent now needs another Entomb and Reanimate. That's not going to do it. I will have active Spellbomb as of my turn. There's Delta. I will dredge this. Another Wasteland, which is great. I'm thinking about whether or not I Pithing Needle that polluted Delta. No. That's greedy. Green, Life from the Loam. Wasteland, Wasteland, Saga. And this is just good enough for my opponent to concede the game. Fantastic. Steal game 1 versus Reanimator. And then I get a few more pieces of Graveyard Hate on top of that. That's great. And I have a few other things that I can think about as well. So, I don't think I need Pithing Needle. I will probably board out Sylvan Library in respect of Orcish Bowmasters. Sylvan Library got a lot worse when Bowmasters got printed. What about Witherbloom Command? Probably expendable. And do some things versus Tamiyo if my opponent is playing Tamiyo. Planeswalker Tamiyo, that is. This can probably go. I will need a cut beyond this. And then I can think about whether or not I want these. I think that's just giving my opponent a good reanimation target. I think. I don't know, they're pretty good if they stick. I get very big with my Life from the Loam. What about Smallpox? It's an out to the creatures once they get in play, technically. I am unsure about this. I don't mind having extra win conditions here. Hell yeah. I would not mind drawing a black land to be able to Mox Diamond and something else immediately. Oh, please don't take my Mox Diamond. Fuck. Black source off the top. Oh, that's weird. I think I'm going called shot here. I think my situation is not great. We're going to do something a little funky. I'm going to take the Underground Seas out of their deck. So what else are we working with here that's interesting? Tamiyos, Murktides, a couple Douthies. I was hoping to cut my opponent off of a color. Do they have Swamp and Island? They do have Swamp and Island. I'm not going to succeed in that capacity. So my Crop Rotation can technically get me black. It might resolve now. My opponent does not currently have something to pair with Force of Will here. Okay, this is very good. So I know that my opponent has Wasteland. So this can just be a basic. And hopefully I get the Entomb here, and we don't have to sweat that. There's a Tamiyo, which is also problematic in a different way. Is Tamiyo scarier than Entomb? Tamiyo might be scarier than Entomb, which is a weird thing to say out loud. But I'm hoping that Crop Rotation just checks this Entomb. Well, I have threats. All Thoughtseize. My opponent can Entomb in response. Do I have a Ghost Quarter in this list? Just checking. No, that was the previous list. Alright, seems like opponent is going to go for their basic now. And will Entomb. There's Atraxa in the bin. There is Animate dead. And I will just take that. It leaves my opponent with Force and Wasteland. You knew about this, right? Didn't you Thoughtseize me? I believe you Thoughtseize me and know about this. So then this gets to get Bog and clear my opponent's Atraxa while also just getting me a land drop. That was insanely good for me. Now any top decked land is just a Goyf. It is a consign. Sure. It is a little weird to discard a Goyf here. I guess Reanimate is already hitting Atraxa. Fuck it. This is going to cut my opponent off of a color. Ojuka Bog can go to Yard. I can bring it back later. And I imagine my opponent gets rid of Island, but it's kind of close. So, like, this lets you cantrip and play Tameo. This lets you do the reanimation nonsense. And I did Surgical Underground Seas earlier. There's not very many colored sources left in my opponent's deck. Yep. That's real good in just a minute. Need to hit a green source first. Now any land drop is just an insane draw for me. More life from the loam. Alright, just more draw go. Solid magic as Richard Garfield intended. We're fine. More draw go. Okay, deck, come on. This would be an embarrassing loss after this. So that is a Polluted Delta. I believe that can only fetch tapped lands now. So this Wasteland is great. That's also great. This game is hilarious. Yeah, opponent can't fetch with that, or I snipe it with Wasteland. Wild. Alright. 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 More draw go. Come the fuck on. Well, was that 7 non-land draws in a row? Opponent gave us the XD in the chat. You aren't wrong. I'll discard a life from the loam. Alright, there is another fetch land. So, I think my opponent has 2 Surveil lands. Ah! I will discard another life from the loam. Alright, there's my opponent's Surveil land. Bloodstained Mire into graveyard. I will Wasteland a Sewers. And then they can fetch the other one. Brazen Borrower goes to graveyard. I think at this point I just Endurance. Maybe I want the spell to go on the stack. Do I have a creature in my own graveyard? I do. Yeah, so I don't Endurance here. Discard a Loam. Douthie is fine. That is not problematic here. Because I'll just draw a land. Okay, there we go. Life from the Loam. Target Wasteland, Bog, Wasteland. 1 and 2. There is a Force of Negation. That's fine. I have access to a couple more copies of Life from the Loam still. I have 1, 2 in my graveyard and 1 in my hand. I'll take 3. Notably, that Life from the Loam is in exile from Force of Negation, so it doesn't have a void counter on it for Douthie Voidwalker. Alright. Hopefully, this resolves. It does not, which is not good for me. My opponent gets to look at a whole bunch of cards. Those 10 whiffs or whatever in a row it was. That was absurd. There is another Reanimate there. Opponent doesn't super have the life in order to use it. My opponent has a Force of Will. It is not great for me. I think I just need to naturally spike a land here. I did. Problem, there's another Reanimate there. I will discard a card to do this. This probably just eats a Force of Will, unfortunately. And then I think I'm dead. Yep, I am dead. I just bricked off so many times there, so my opponent forces another game, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm north of 50% mana, too. My opponent and I were chatting about how absurd it was, about what just happened. Okay. I think I'm just going to start by getting this ticking up. I have a lot of utility in my land. Ponder is great. Ponder means that I can just safely Wasteland Underground Sea in the first turn cycle. And we'll just get this ticking up with some nice counters. Another Crop Rotation. That's totally fine. Flooded Strand. We'll just keep ticking this up, and I'll pass the turn. No play from my opponent here. We're getting something now. Second fetch, and a Douthie Voidwalker. Sure, I think I'll respond there. I want this to go into a graveyard from play. So in response, I will Crop Rotation this away. Get 3 1/1s. An opponent can decide if they want to mess with this as well. I could just get another hatchery. I guess that's less good with Douthie. Saga? I think I'm just going to get Saga and become a beatdown gamer. Douthie resolves. This lets me work towards a spell bomb while beating down for 3 a turn. BREW seems fine. And we can trade 3 damage for 3 damage. I get the first attack in. 3 damage is fine. 14. Urza is fine. I'll make a friend at end of turn. Ooh, that's great. I don't think I'm doing that immediately, but it's great. There's 2/2. They'll both be 3/3s in a second. There's the spell bomb. I'm going to send in, see if my opponent removes anything, and then make decisions about what happens next after that. Okay, it's just a petty theft. That's fine. My opponent's at 12. I've got the graveyard covered. Maze? Saga? I think Maze. I think I just want to keep my life total high. Not lose to a pivot plan. This lets me play Saga into Goyf next turn, potentially. And I don't think I am sweating drawing a card off of the spell bomb. I think the 3 creatures that I got off Hatchery plus this 1 construct token leave me in pretty darn good shape. I'm not in a situation where my opponent can like both Wasteland me and play a Brazen Borrower at the same time. Wasteland plus another Douthie could be a little annoying though. Opponent sends in, I'll say no. Tameo's fine. If Tameo transforms, I'm a little more annoyed though. I'm only pushing 3 damage here. This doesn't actually get through. Doesn't mean I won't try. Yeah. Opponent's at 9. I think I am into producing larger bodies here. As much as I would like to check and see if the coast is clear, I just don't know that I have time to do that. Goyf in play. Sat on the stack for a while though. No end of turn mana use from my opponent. I've got a 3/4 and effectively a 3/3. A Bitter Triumph. Discarding a Brazen Borrower. You've got it. So that now has a Void counter on it, which is the route that my opponent is doing. My Maze of Ith currently still checks that just fine. We are not in problematic range yet. A Brainstorm would be a problem. Okay, opponent is holding this back, valuing individual points of life here. What's going on over there? Reanimate, Force, and Douthie. Just mazing this. So another Douthie is probably the scariest. I'll take that. I'll just fetch here. Do that. Punchies, punchies, and punchies. Opponent will take 2, going to 7. Opponent draws. Sends in the 4/5. I have land instant sorcery. Repower. Just from my graveyard. I think I'll just maze it. End of turn, make these bigger. There's a Saga. Do this. Opponent flashes in Brazen Borrower, that's fine. I've got 4/4s. I've got 5/5s. Now I have an enchantment in there. So I have land enchantment, instant sorcery, 4/5s. So I can crack a spell bomb to kind of mess with these. I can also just maze whatever the Goyf blocks. Attack in, get like block, block, block. That's still pushing a lot of damage. Yeah. This is currently lethal as things stand. I could like try to clear both graveyards or something. This is fine. This is going to put my opponent to 5 life. I know that they have Force of Will. Let's get that out of hand. Cast Smallpox. Alright, there's Force pitching Force. That is fine and expected. Let's see what my opponent can cook up here. EE for 0 is pretty darn good. That's absurd. That clears 5 of my bodies. Okay. My opponent gets 1 good solid hit in before I untap with Maze of Ith. Just mills a bunch of junk. That's all fine. This is fine. I'll discard Crop Rotation with 2 spell bombs in play. Sacrifice my basic swamp. Pass turn. Alright, seems like we have officially reached the chilling stage of the game. I think I'll cycle one of these. New land drop. I think I'll do Catacombs here. Opponent now has 3 lands again. No. Full Endurance. Nuke my own graveyard to counter Animate Dead. Endurance is a 3-turn clock by itself. I'll go to 2. I thought I had another Surveil land. Whoops. Guess that's the other Surveil land. Nice. Send in for 3. Opponent's at 5. Play a Goyf. Surveil. I'm gonna say no to that. I could like draw it immediately to wasteland my opponent off of their own 3 drops. I don't know how much I love that. Wasteland on Maze is potentially good if opponent can pair it with something else. It does not appear that that is the case. 1 card remaining. No tricks. It should not be that difficult to beat Reanimator. That was a great game though. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Okay, I'll keep my opening hand here. I'm going to get the Hatchery ticking up immediately, and there's a good chance that I crop rotation this away in the next couple of turns. Volcanic Island, sure. So sometimes this is a tempo deck, sometimes this is a combo deck. We don't know yet. I think I'm just going to drop Forest past the turn, and then maybe get cheeky if this Volcanic Island gets tapped. It doesn't. Okay, let's get cheeky anyway. Crop rotation, sack the Hatchery, and we can go for a Wasteland for Life from the Loam. And even if this gets countered, I still get 2 insects out of it, which is not the end of the world. Okay, it's happening. I will get Wasteland. I will Wasteland you. Get a Brainstorm in response. Slightly surprised that did not just happen in response to the crop rotation. I guess you can't hit Daze there. You have to hit Force of Will there. Yeah, maybe that's fine. We have Misty Rainforest leading into a basic island so that my opponent does not get wastelanded. That's fine by me. Not the most interested in crop rotation immediately. I'm going to get my own basic. 1, 2, and 3. Resolves. Send in for 2. If my opponent is combo, we are clocking them. They are tempo. Well, I've dealt all the damage to myself. Quarry Steelcutter and another basic land. Honestly, the basic land is worse for me than the Quarry Steelcutter in the short term. What am I doing about Quarry Steelcutter long term? Boseiju is an answer. How many Boseijus do I have? I have 1. I might be better off just taking a draw here. Pithing Needle is medium. I think I'm fine just discarding one of these random lands here. I'm going to discard the Wasteland. Okay, there's a Daze, that's fine. Now that that happened, I'll just play Maze of Ith out as my land drop. Send in for 2. If I had a little more mana, we could start thinking about like crop rotation for Bojuka Bog to keep Murktide Regent from tangoing with us. We're not quite there. This unfortunately gives my opponent another monk. Quarry Steelcutter is Eumidian Hatchery that you don't have to work quite as hard for. So this maze is saving me life. But my opponent still has a bunch of cards. So there's probably a new monk just about every turn. And I can't cut my opponent off of mana to just cast their spells. More crop rotation. But what am I doing? Am I trying to stabilize the game with Urza's Saga then? Alright. Crop rotation. Sacrifice Hatchery. Oof. I get a 1/1. But I've played my land drop, so now I don't have another green. This is a pretty big deal. I'm going to name Wasteland so that Maze of Ith doesn't make me take... Sorry, a Wasteland on Maze of Ith doesn't make me take a bunch of surprise damage. I'll send in. Opponent's at 12. Oh, that's not at my face. That's at a token. My opponent going to deal more than 3 damage with those monk tokens, the non-trampoly ones? Doesn't look like it. Maybe they're worried about getting clocked back. Alright, lightning bolt. My face this time. I am at 5. Another land. Alright. I think Urza Saga is fully the plan at this point. I think I am now going to hold back these tokens. Let's just always yield to this. If I had a touch more time, I could also do something like Crop Rotation for a Boseiju, Wasteland that, Boseiju, use that to get rid of Cory Steelcutter. I'm not really operating on that degree of time without something like Exploration to let me make extra land drops. I also don't have more than 1 copy of Maze of Ith. I think I am going to attempt to trade. Fuck. That 3rd Lightning Bolt is rough. The opponent can just choose not to move the Cory Steelcutter. Well, they did. So I will not trade with that. I will maze one of these, and that is 6 total, and my Crop Rotation for Urza Saga does not save me immediately. I had a fine hand, I just did not have time. Isle of Goyfs. Get in here. And now we start thinking if we want to do something like Force of Vigor for Cory Steelcutter or not. I think I'm going to take the Thoughtseizes out of my deck. They lose me life. These gain me life. I think I am fine bringing in Endurances. Get rid of Sylvan Library. What about Witherbloom Command? This is a lot of times drain 2. Maybe kill a token. I guess this answers Cory Steelcutter. And this stays. What is the weak link here? Is it the counterable Crop Rotation? The thing about Crop Rotation, though, is it sacrifices Eumidian Hatchery. I bet I can go down some number of Smallpox or Crop Rotation. Boarding in extra creatures. Let's do at least this. Let's just do that much. Force of Vigor's not crazy. Dismember's fine. I'm going to say this is fine. I probably don't get to play with all 3 Eumidian Hatcheries at the same time, though. So here's a Mox Diamond. Guard a Hatchery. And then here is Malevolent Rumble. I will take Urza Saga here, probably. I would not have minded just hitting a 3-drop creature there, like a Goyf. Scalding Tarn. Oh, shit. Yes. Saga. There's a Liliana of the Veil. Force of Negation. That's a shame. I still have powerful Urza Saga stuff to do. Opponent can Surveil here. Surveil lands really have changed legacy, huh? Wow, saying no to Wasteland in the face of my Urza Saga. That must mean they already have another one, yeah. They chose not to target the Eumidian Hatchery. Feels weird to me, but whatever. You can just kill it now before I get more counters. That's the 4th Eumidian Hatchery. Yeah. I don't know if I can just tick both of those up simultaneously. Wasteland me, you coward. Hate that. Alright, opponent does not have anything to do immediately. I'm going to keep ticking up this good one. I don't think I am going to tick up the other one in the face of Cory Steelcutter. I don't think I want to Pithing Needle Wasteland. But I'm going to think about it. Maybe I just do. Makes my top decks like Urza Saga better. But it does mean that if I draw my own Wasteland, I can't Wasteland Eumidian Hatchery for a bunch of creatures. That's definitely awkward. Seems like my opponent has a bunch of counter magic and reactive stuff, which is good for me. I will keep ticking this up. I think that is worth 1 life per turn. Yes. I'm gonna play this and pass. Then I am going to make 5 1/1s with Crop Rotation. Consign is a thing, I guess. I'm gonna go for it. Yeah, because I don't need this spell to resolve, so I don't really need to play around, hardcast Force of Negation or whatever. Okay, this will just get an Urza Saga, I think. I don't think I will start another Eumidian Hatchery ticking up. Immediately punished. And, not you. Opponent goes to 14. It feels like my opponent has a bunch of reactive stuff. I think if I cast spells, they get creatures. I'm not gonna cast spells. We'll just wait this out. See what they've got now. Cast into the fire. Killing 2 of these, that's fine. Lightning Bolt my face is fine. That's a 2/2. That does not get to attack. I think I'm doing this and then probably not casting these. I think I'm doing fine without them. There's a 4/4. There's a spell bomb. This is a 5/5. Send in with all of these. See if my opponent takes the chomp. They do not. I think I take one here to clear the graveyard so a Murktide Regent can't hit play. Sure. Okay. It seems like my opponent does not have anything. In which case, I am just going to go ahead and cast this. Alright, cool. Won that one handily. My opponent just bottomed out. That Corey Steelcutter very, very easily could have eaten me alive there. On the draw, I'm a little more scared of Corey Steelcutter. I'm considering playing a Force of Vigor or two. Be over some Smallpox. I'm gonna do one. So that's Force, Wither Bloom. Yeah, that's not enough. Let's do this. And then some portion of the time, my opponent's just gonna have, you know, Murktides or Tamios or DRCs or whatever, and I'll have Force of Vigor, and it is awkward. I am willing to keep this hand. My opponent is on 6 cards, and we'll just kind of see how this goes. I don't think my hand is perfect, but I think it is solid. ERC. I am probably willing to Smallpox that on turn 1. Definitely willing to Smallpox that on turn 1 now. Mox Diamond. Discard Basic. Mox Diamond. Discard Bayou. Cast Smallpox without making a land drop, meaning that I do not have to sacrifice a land. I'll discard Force of Vigor here. And then I just like lead Verdant Liliana. Seems good. Oh no, opponent. No other land. Oh no. That can go to graveyard. We'll get that later. Very macabre. I was not dredging that anyway, but that's totally fine. Nice. I will get this ticking up. There's Lily. Oh yeah. Lily plus. This is a good old-fashioned poxing right here. Yeah, I wonder if my opponent had some things like Fairy last game that just weren't castable. Wasteland my Eumidian Hatchery. Okay, so yeah. Crop Rotation. Sacrifice Eumidian Hatchery. Crop Rotation resolves. Okay. My opponent has had enough. We're 2-0 with Loam Pox. Let's fucking go. We're having to work for him, but we are winning. This is a tough one. Because my turn 1 land ETV's tapped and does not let me Thoughtseize on 1, which is a really big deal. But I have both my colors. I have Life from the Loam. I have Malevolent Rumble. I have a Planeswalker. Gah. Oh, yeah. Polluted Delta Gamer spotted. See what they're doing. I don't care if I get Thoughtseized. I care way more about just Dark Ritual Doomsday or something like that. Hey, yeah. No, that. Can't Thoughtseize away that Doomsday. But I could Thoughtseize away a Dark Ritual, I guess. So I guess let's go that direction. And I think my win condition is destroying a bunch of my opponent's lands. Okay, so my opponent can go Lotus Petal, land, Doomsday immediately. I'm either going to take Lotus Petal or Force of Will. I can let them build their Doomsday pile, and then attempt to blow up enough lands that I stop that. But I don't have black for Smallpox immediately, which is kind of a big deal. I can take Lotus Petal, and then my following turn Thoughtseize gets Force of Will Personal Tutor out of hand. Man, so much of this is going to boil down to whether or not I hit my mana source. Again, is about 50%. A little less since Mox Diamond isn't currently one. I think I'm going to slow my opponent down the 1 turn. Man, that land entering tapped on turn 1 was a huge deal. So there's the C. I don't know that it is correct to play that C prior to Ponder. Now my opponent doesn't have the shuffle option. A Duress. 8 that for me. I assume that I lose Thoughtseize. And I do. I am going to cast a Malevolent Rumble here. I have a lot of really good hits. My opponent could just Force of Will this. They do not. I get a Wasteland. That's fine. I will drop Wasteland. Wasteland and Underground Sea. I now have Life from the Loam Wasteland online. Very thankful that my opponent did not Force of Will there. There's that Delta. And at this point, the opponent knows, I think, all of my hand except for this other Malevolent Rumble. Opponent went into the tank for a while, but it looks like they are now passing the turn. Nope, we're hanging out in second main. Okay, they are passing the turn. Hot damn. So I get to do something really cool here. I get to cast Life from the Loam. Actually, do I want a Malevolent Rumble instead? I think I want my opponent to think that they, like, this is going to keep them from being wastelanded. I'm going to do this. Try to get Force of Will and Personal Tutor out of hand here, and then wasteland them anyway. Nice. So yeah, and then Luck Sack, draw, just have another wasteland. We're getting a response. Bowmaster? We're not getting a response. Alright, cool. Game's not over, but I might have successfully threaded the needle on this one. Nice. Game is over. 1 Thoughtseize, 2 Thoughtseize, 3 Thoughtseize, 4 Thoughtseize. Thank you, deck! We're gonna forgive you for that, like, 10 draw string of no lands in the other game. Disruptor Flute, I am in for. And I might just play some threats to end the game. Surgical Extraction is not crazy to just cast on Doomsday, surgically extract Doomsday, or otherwise attempt to shuffle a Doomsday pile. I'm going to assume that Maze of Ith can exit the deck. I'm going to assume that Bojuka Bog can exit the deck. Pithing Needle technically has some text versus Cyclers. I'm not the most excited about that. If my opponent is playing Tamiyo, Pithing Needle does do some stuff there. I am, I think, going to leave Needle as an Urza Saga tutor target. I think, usually getting a Mox Diamond in this matchup. Get rid of Bitter Triumphs. If my opponent is Tamiyoing, this leaves me Witherbloom, Smallpox, Liliana as easy outs to it. That is, I think, fine. Library's a little slow. That's 61, but I might be in this general ballpark. Do that. Don't play the Goyfs on the draw. I think my win condition in this matchup is concession, not reducing my opponent's life total to 0. My deck's half lands, right? We need a little love here. I don't think this is a mulligan. Nice. Order? I think order is Mox Diamond, see if Mox Diamond gets countered. It does not. Give up a Wasteland. Cast a Thoughtseize without playing Around Days, because sometimes my opponent fetches an Underground Sea in some capacity in response to this, and I end up wastelanding, whereas if I show Wasteland, my opponent probably gets a basic. Nice. That is fine. So I now don't need to show Wasteland this turn. Just change phases, let that empty, and then play out Crop Rotation. And second main, drop Misty, which is presumably going to be a Surveil land. Catacombs and pass. This is all fine. I would love to find a Life from the Loam. And Surveil, I do not need the 3rd copy of Smallpox. Pithing Needle is kind of funny. I can force a Verdant Catacombs crack with that immediately. Boy, this is weird. I think my plan is cast Smallpox like this, and there's a dance to be done here involving days and possibilities of Wasteland and a bunch of other things, and like playing this Pithing Needle. Opponent cycles in response. Yeah, I'll flip mana now. Fuck. I'll play this Pithing Needle. Opponent fetches. They are choosing a basic. I think I'm going to go ahead and name Polluted Delta. Trying to keep my opponent from getting to 3 mana if possible. There's also some lines that involve like doing a crop rotation for a Eumidian Hatchery immediately and producing a single 1/1. I don't really know that that's worth it versus having access to another Wasteland. Because this Wasteland that is currently in play, I have queued up for Underground Sea that I know is in my opponent's hand. Oh, but my Smallpox. Yeah, maybe I did need Smallpox number 3. That's fine. Consider's fine. Consider is not Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual is currently problematic. Oh, fuck yeah. love that as a draw, actually. That's very good. So Wasteland the Underground Sea. Then I probably let this tick up for a turn or two. It might just be once. I might just get Urza Saga immediately and start trying to go aggro. My opponent is at 13. There's been Street Wraiths and Thought Seizes and Fetches. There's another Delta from my opponent, which is currently Pithing Needled. I'm not even sure if you play that accordingly. Maybe you just hold that to put back with a Brainstorm. I guess it can save Polluted Delta from exactly the final Smallpox. So I guess there's that. I think I will go for this immediately. We're playing around soft counters. And I'll get an Urza Saga. Boseiju. Yeah, I hold that. No, I'm a liar. I don't. Because there's times the following turn cycle where I might need to cast something like a Thoughtseize. And Boseiju in hand does not cast that. Unless I draw a land, I think my Urza Saga Construct token is not getting grown. Ooh. I am going to do this. This is a little awkward. I'll take a Mox Diamond out of my deck because it's a bad draw, but as you'll see, it goes directly to graveyard here. So I hit my opponent for 5, and this presents lethal the following turn, whereas it's 2 more turns if I don't make that extra Construct token. Edge of Autumn cycles that land. It did do something. Dark Ritual into Doomsday. Will I lose for not playing Disruptor Flute? It's possible. My opponent needs to have another Street Wraith or Edge of Autumn in hand. They do not. GG's. That is now 3-0 with Loam Pox. Hot damn. Okay, opening hand here is fine. I have plenty of mana. I have utility in Life from the Loam and Crop Rotation. I have Witherbloom Command that can answer an opposing early permanent, or just give me something to do on turn 2 if I don't have anything else. Misty Rainforest. I'll surveil here. I wonder if I could have squeezed a second Mortuary into this deck. Yeah! I am down for a Smallpox. Let's do that immediately. If it gets countered, it gets countered, but if it doesn't, I eat this land. I have Life from the Loam here, plus extra lands in hand already. It resolves. I'm going to get rid of Bojuka Bog. Get rid of the Mortuary so that I can potentially surveil again. Ooh, it is Reanimate. Well, the good news is I have access to Bojuka Bog. Bad news is Entomb plus Reanimate could happen immediately next turn. Bitter Triumph. I could Crop Rotation for Wasteland and go for that immediately. I think that is worse than casting Life from the Loam, because I might get stuck not being able to cast this Loam. Let's go to 16. Bog, Mortuary, Fetch Land. Yaw and Yaw. Alright, it's in play. Now, next turn, I can pretty safely start doing Crop Rotation for Wasteland type stuff. That is not Entomb. Hell yeah. The Fetch Land is very inconvenient. Not going to Dredge. Hatchery. Hatchery's pretty cool. So play that. Float the mana. Green, Crop Rotation, sacrifice Hatchery. Hit Wasteland. Witherbloom Command. Round Days? No. Let's just Wasteland the Sewers. Then go green. Witherbloom Command. Mill 3. Drain 2. Yaw. And Yaw. I will get back Wasteland immediately. Then I don't need to Dredge Life from the Loam next turn. So the fear here is that my opponent just goes end of turn Entomb into Reanimate, and I never have a chance to Bojuka Bog, which it looks like is what's happening. And it's kind of unfortunate that I drew the Bojuka Bog instead of just having it in my deck to Crop Rotation for. Yep. So now the hope is that they don't find Force of Will with this, which they did not. So in theory, I can Bitter Triumph. In practice, Thoughtseize is a thing. Thoughtseize, Murktide, Entomb, Underground Sea, Reanimate. Oh, that is greedy. Holy shit, that is greedy. Orcish Bowmasters to graveyard. I am not dredging Life from the Loam. I love that draw. Mox Diamond, discard an ETB tapped land. I'm going to cast Bitter Triumph for life here on the Atraxa. Boo! I know that my opponent has Animate Dead. No targets over here. One target over there. I don't care if my opponent thought seizes me. I do care that my opponent gains 7. I think I Wasteland. That Murktide Regent is gone, and this keeps my opponent from potentially playing another. So this is just going to gain me some life, and maybe I end up just doing Life from the Loam, Eumidian Hatchery stuff to block for a while. Miss. Lose 2 life. Life's not super relevant in the face of Atraxa gaining 7. But this Atraxa does kill me in 2 hits. I can find Maze as well. I'm going to do this. Life from the Loam. Eumidian Hatchery. Boseiju. This target, hold on, can Boseiju target my own stuff? Give me Boseiju text. And opponent controls it. No, it can't. Hatchery, Mortuary, Wasteland. Yeah, and yeah. I believe it is correct to Surveil here. Fuck yeah. If I just draw that, my opponent can't counter it. I think I just draw this, despite the fact that I can get more value off of Life from the Loam. I'll take 7. Go to 7. Don't do that. Play Maze of Ith and pass. Now we need to dodge Wasteland. Alright, opponent didn't even bother attacking. Now I'm fine dredging. I'm going to get an Urza Saga going. Urza Saga, Boseiju, and Forest. Yeah. So I am now trying to work towards Pithing Needle on Wasteland to prevent Maze of Ith from being counterable. Force of Will pitching Daze, that's fine. Do I want to bog my opponent for Murktide Regent purposes? I don't need to do that as of right now, I don't think. I want to get a Eumidian Hatchery ticking up. No. Play Wasteland and pass. I don't know, maybe I need to Wasteland my... Sorry, Bojuka bog my opponent so that land drop into Orcish Bowmasters isn't live. They did not take that route, though. Notably, it is not a very scary clock, but it's technically a clock. That was a shuffle. Alright, no Atraxa attack. I will end up Wastelanding Underground Sea for sure. Fine dredging. So, Life from the Loam, Forest, Boseiju, Urza Saga, 1 and 2. Okay, that's in play. Wasteland, Underground Sea, Crop Saga. There's a new land. This represents Basic Island. That's just a thing that exists now. I'm not going to dredge. I do not want to dredge over my Pithing Needle. Okay. I think I now need to respect Murktide Regent as being a thing that is valid. And I'll pass the turn here. If my opponent fetches a non-basic land for some reason, I can Wasteland it with a Crop Rotation. I don't expect that to happen. Alright, mana, not a problem. I will now start doing this. These are going to be small for a while. I can't risk hitting Pithing Needle here. So yeah, and yeah. There's the 3/3s. There's Pithing Needle. And I will shut off Wasteland. And I'm going to work towards having construct tokens that are bigger than Atraxa. This kind of turns my opponent's mana back on, but I am hopefully winning with Urza Saga from here. There's an alternate timeline where I get Nihil Spellbomb here. There's a Surveil land. This is all fine. Petty Theft a token is fine. Honestly, just scarier if they just cast that. I guess that's less true with Eumidian Hatchery around, though. End of turn. Yeah. Crop Rotation. Sacrificing Eumidian Hatchery. This is just going to get me another Urza Saga. Negative. Pitching a Daze. So while I've got some mana here, I can start Boseijuing lands. We can work through them eventually. Alright, so opponent just casts Brazen Borrower. That's currently fine. There's Underground Sea. Reg Life from the Loam. Life from the Loam. Target. Saga. Boseiju. I have a Hatchery already. I guess I will target a wasteland with that. So yeah, I will put a Saga into play. I am fine Osageing a land, I think. Nice, we are at the point where my opponent is starting to fail to find. A removal spell here is pretty bad for me right now. And this is a 1/1, so Orcish Bowmasters is a thing. Alright, we are crashing in. I will go block and trade. And then maze this one. Brazen Borrower dies. Animate to dead on Brazen Borrower. Sure. Seems fine. So now I don't have access to my wasteland in the short term. I think I just take a real draw here. Not what I'm looking for. I will put one of these into play. So I have 3 turns to find something that answers Brazen Borrower. I have stopped opposing Wasteland from checking Maze of Ith, but that doesn't stop this. So we maze, take 2. I don't think I get to start ticking up the hatchery. And I believe that my opponent is out of fetchables. So those are their lands. We never have to worry about something like a Murktide. I do this. Got 4/4s. I take a natural draw. Malevolent Rumble is fine. I will go Yah and Yah. 5/5s or 6/6s. I think I will just take the redraw immediately here. Not dredging. Hit a life from the loam anyway. I will cast a Malevolent Rumble. Bayou and Urza's Saga. I take Bayou, I can cast Life from the Loam. That's not doing me a lot. I'll take Urza's Saga. I will play Urza's Saga. And I will pass. I think that's just a shuffle. Yep, that is just a shuffle. This whole game is going to come down to, do I answer Brazen Borrower? That's a shuffle. Maze of Ith. Target you. Take 2 in the air. I haven't used a Liliana yet. I have 2 Lilianas. I have a handful of outs here. Liliana! I will play... I'll play a land. 1, 2, 3. Liliana of the Veil. Very big card here. Need not Force of Will. Nice! Please sacrifice a creature. Alright. Brazen Borrower is down. Now I will Life from the Loam, Bayou, Saga, Boseiju, Yah, and Yah, and I'll pass turn there, and I can use Eldrazi Spawn to activate Urza's Saga without using Eumidian Hatchery and going to 1 so that Bowmaster kills me. I think we fucking got it. There's a Reanimate on Brazen Borrower. Okay. And a Tameo. Oh fuck. That was Animate Dead on Brazen Borrower, not a Reanimate. I think I had Boseiju live for a few turns there. Fuck, this could have been way easier. Alright, Atraxa comes in. There's Maze of Ith. So there's Urza Saga activation. I think this is just lethal. Don't dredge. Nice. Alright. 1 and 2. Activate here. I'll search for a Spell Bomb. I'll search for a Mox Diamond. I'll do a Mox Diamond discarding a Wasteland. I will plus a Liliana. This shuts off Force of Will. I'll discard a Wasteland. 1, 2, 3. Play new Liliana. Days is fine. I will pay. Keep the one with higher loyalty. Liliana minus. Target you. Go to combat. Swing with everything. 2 of these gets blocked. I Maze of Ith. The one that Atraxa blocks so that my opponent does not gain life. And my opponent is deterministically dead because we know their last card is a land. Okay, I made that harder than it needed to be. Ugh. We solved the puzzle though. Endurance in, Surgical in. I think I landed on a couple of these. That was a very atypical game. Get rid of Sylvan Library. I know my opponent has Bowmasters. I have exactly one Maze of Ith to protect. I'm going to get rid of Pithing Needle, I think. It's so rough to have to deal with the Reanimator plan and the Fair plan all at the same time. Like, this is not a very good card unless it is answering a Tamiyo Planeswalker, you know? So it's never any of that stuff. I think Thoughtseize is fine. I am okay with my removal. Was it Malevolent Rumble before? Is that what I did? Malevolent Rumble and bring in a couple of threats. This is the juke when my opponent is boarding out their removal. Seems fine. I also don't mind having a few extra win conditions in the deck if I am this low on time. This is fine. This gets me out of the first couple of turns pretty easily. It's most annoying if my opponent opens up on basic island Tamiyo, but that's fine. Opponent likes their card. I could Surgical to make them shuffle. I don't really know that that's good. So I'll just go ahead and Wasteland here. I'm not gonna Mox Diamond. Marsh Flats and Ponder. That's fine. Kind of interested in just doing a crop rotation for a Wasteland, honestly. I think I'm going to go land drop, Mox Diamond, discard this land, float a mana, go green, crop rotation, sacrificing Saga, do another Wasteland, and attempt to prolong this game. I don't think I am going to Wasteland Underground Sea here. Sorry, Surgical Extraction Underground Sea. I think I am still scared enough of the Reanimator stuff that I need to respect that. Ooh, I'm still making my land drop here. I am okay just throwing this out here immediately. There's some tension with Murktide Regent here as like a thing that I need to respect. Sure, that's fine. Basic Island and Tamiyo. So hopefully I just Lily that. Not hitting my land drop guaranteed. I've used Mortuary. Might be a moment where I cycle Spellbomb to just try to hit the land immediately. I'm not going to do it. Never didn't have it. Fetch. I'll get a basic land here. Basic Swamp. This is a very good Daze or other counter spell. Didn't have it. Please sack a creature. Now I'm hopefully in pretty good shape. I honestly don't mind the Spellbomb that much. It's not my opponent's Spellbomb. It's not even cycling yet. Now it's cycling. This is fine. Maze of Ith is cool. So I'm going to Life from the Loam, target, Wasteland, Saga, Wasteland. Go 1 and 2. If my opponent counters this with Spellbomb, I will just be able to dredge the Life from the Loam the following turn. So they can either answer the Loam permanently or let me draw 3 cards. I think they want to fetch here. And they do. I could Surgical Extraction Underground Sea right now. That's a Flooded Strand. With my Spellbomb in play, I'm going to do that. I'll pay life. Underground Sea, Underground Sea, Underground Sea. 2 Murktide Regents are the notables here. Got it. Yeah, you can Surveil, but you're not cantripping. My opponent can bounce this out of play and then Entomb Reanimate and has a thing for Lily. That's really annoying. I'm going to hope that they miss that. They missed it. So that's an opportunity where you can Brazen Borrower, bounce this, make me discard it. They junk a Force of Will. This leaves me with a Spellbomb and a Maze of Ith in play. This is fantastic. Fine dredging here. I hit an Urza's Saga. That's fine. I will go bam and bam, do Urza Saga, play it. I am going to plus this. They missed it last turn. I'm going to hope they miss it again. They did miss it again. Brazen Borrower is now down, which is great because I was super fucking worried about that. All right, that is Petty Theft on the Spellbomb anyway. So Entomb Reanimate is going to happen on my opponent's turn. I think that means that I just clear their graveyard. I will not dredge. Through another Spellbomb. I guess they do need another black... No, they don't need another black source because they can split it up. Liliana answers the creature, though. So there's Reanimate on Archon. Oh, fuck, it's creature or Planeswalker. That's pretty bad. Might have had a way to thread this a little better if I had more clock. Crop Rotation does not get me anything that stops this fully. Crop Rotation, do that. Get a different Saga. Clock's getting awfully low. So I will maze this. I'm still taking the trigger damage, but I am preventing the 9 each turn cycle. Oh, are you just going again? I'll concede to that. I'm not beating that. So now I've got 4 minutes to play another game of Magic. I think I'm going to get one more threat in here. Alright, Barrowgoyf, I don't have time for you to get stuck on the screen, bud. I will just trim one non-threat. We can play a reasonable game of Magic here, but I do not have time to think about decisions very much. This is going to be a lot more of just take game actions, hope for the best. Mox Diamond, discard Mortuary, play Hatchery, and Loam. I'm going to remove this stop on my opponent's turn for just a little bit more time. Opponent says no. That is fine. What do you got? Thoughtseize taking my only threat is rough. Okay, I mean, that's very good. That helps a ton versus Entomb Reanimate, or even just an Animate Dead or whatever on my Goyf. Yeah. We'll take up Hatchery again. Do Endurance. Endurance myself. That gets effectively countered. I'm going to Bojuka Bog in respect of Murktide Regent. Crash in for 3. Opponent's at 13. I have a Hatchery that is very aggressively ticking up. I would love a way to sacrifice that. Crop Rotation for Urza, Saga, very good. Smallpox, probably net good. Spellbomb's fine. I will manually tick this up at end of turn. Value's fine. Crash in. And opponent cycling Spellbomb here. I don't need to do much more before my opponent's reanimate on, the big scary things is just not on the table. This is fine. Cast for life. I will tick up the Hatchery. Opponent wastelands my Hatchery. Aww, I don't get my friends. Okay. Saga, you can wasteland that. Yep. 7. That's a big number. Oh, it's Murktide Regent. Hate that. It's just big enough to avoid Endurance. Do this past turn. I'll get Mortuary in a minute. Brainstorm's fine. Yeah, if I have a little bit more time, I think I would have realized that I need to not cast Bitter Triumph and hold it until my opponent fires off a Wasteland. And then I do it on Douthie in response. I think I would have caught that. I was aware of that interaction from earlier in the league. There's a Delta. There's a new Douthie. I will fetch and do some graveyard stuff here before that's in play. That's fine. I'll take that. Opponent does not attack. I think is fine. I think time is their win condition. So Lily, minus on you. I imagine my opponent sacrifices the Douthie, and we'll see what they want to do. If they attack with Murktide Regent, I attack them for half of their life total if they don't have a new blocker. I believe my opponent plays exactly 2 Murktide Regents. Alright, they are going at Lily. I will let Lily die and hopefully take half of my opponent's life total out. That's a weird one. Attack for 3. Opponent is at 3. I think I'm not going to cast that. Yes. I think I want to be able to rip a different removal spell. Alright, Archon in graveyard. It has to be Animate Dead and not Reanimate. They don't have it right now. Hatchery. Cool. Am I good with that? I think I'm good with that. Smallpox. You have... Okay, yeah. I sacrifice the Hatchery. Make a 1/1. That is a 2-turn clock. It's a 1-turn clock if my opponent fetches with Delta, and they did. That is a Reanimate. That was not a live card. Big draw step for the opponent. Hey-yo! We're 4-0. We've been working for it. But by Jove, we are 4-0. Wait, by Keranos. Gotta use the right gods. Alright. Playing for the trophy again. I'll keep this one. This is a turn 1 Smallpox. Let's reset this upkeep stop in case I need it. Underground Sea. That is Wasteland Bait. Thoughtseize. That can take my Mox Diamond. Honestly, all three of the cards in my hand are valid Thoughtseize targets, in my opinion. Opponent says BRB. That was a very fast BRB. I have lost my Smallpox. Fine. I don't mind that at all. So let's Wasteland my opponent to make sure Daze is not live. Then I will go Mox Diamond. I want to get rid of the basic Swamp, I think. And then I can Thoughtseize as well. Get a feel for whether this is... I was going to say Doomsday or Reanimator, and it was a none of the above. It's a tempo deck. So on a big enough time scale, Kaito is the thing that is scary. In the short term, the Nethergoyf is a creature with power and toughness that gets to hit me. I can maybe make it so that my opponent never casts a Kaito. Maybe. But I think I'm just going to take the Kaito and not take that risk. Kaito conceptually just seems disastrous for me if it resolves. I am not the best at answering Planeswalkers. Ooh, that was another land drop. That means that my opponent has both basics. That makes this Wasteland, like, very, very noticeably worse. I'm just going to play my BREW here and throw down Malevolent Rumble. Not great. Misty Rainforest is not what I am looking for there. I am potentially just going to gain about 4 life from this Eldrazi spawn token. Could be more or less depending on what my opponent does regarding the cantrips in their hand. Looks like we're going to see at least the Ponder here. Yep. The Eldrazi spawn is worth 4 life this turn, and I will probably just cash it in immediately because I have cards like Smallpox in my deck that might cause me to lose my Eldrazi spawn token. Oh shit, Thoughtseize was already in there, it was only 3. I am still fine with doing it, by the same logic. I have this. That buys a lot of time. I'm okay getting this going immediately. I'm a little worried about getting run over. Baseline target Eumidian Hatchery? Am I taking 3? Am I taking 4? I am taking 4. So that clears my graveyard. I'm at 14. If I tap Eumidian Hatchery a bit, I might be taking a turn off of my clock. This is 4, 8, 12. Yeah, I'm happy to take 1 to gain 4 life. Alright, good draw step, please. Yeah, we can get a little weird. I'm into it. There's life from the loam. Play Hatchery. And now we're just in chump block this Nethergoyf territory until I find something cool. There's nothing in this hand for you, Cutter Slade 83. Nothing. Gain 4 life. Fantastic. And opponent's just going to take out my life from the loam. Not drawing a card in process. Just great respect for life from the loam. I'm still going to do this. I think it is still worth it. I might take 1 Nethergoyf. Never mind. So, yeah. Smallpox. Ah, that's a shame. Taking a hit from this because I thought I was going to resolve that spell. I could have not taken that hit. I was hoping to do this and then resolve this here. Alright, I'm at 6. I'll fetch. Do the Underground Mortuary. Pithing Needle is not good right now. I need to answer this Nethergoyf. Mox Diamond is not what I am looking for. I will get 3 turns worth of chump blocks. Find something that answers this Goyf. So scale that up. Wasteland myself. Make 3 1/1s. And chump. I think I could have gotten away with leaving Kaito. Crop Rotation for Urza Saga? Crop Rotation for Maze of Ith. I like Crop Rotation for Maze of Ith. And then I just have to decide how much I'm swinging for. I think I can only swing for 1. I think I'm going to do this. And in. One's at 12. Pass turn. Now I want that Pithing Needle on Wasteland. Hate this in every possible way. Because that's now multiple bodies to go wide of this token. So I will Crop Rotation, sack Misty, Maze of Ith, maze that. Need more. Burden is not more. I'll pass turn here, but this is bad. That's worse. Opponent needs to do this pre-combat, or I get to maze. They've allowed me to maze a Vith. Big fan of that. Maze that. I will block the orc here. I take 1. Damn it! I'm at 1, but Kaito is live. I think this one has slipped. The last couple of draws did not do me any favors, but I was already falling behind. GG. So I would like these fair creatures and probably this Dismember. My Thought Seizes are, I think, going to go. I'm going to keep Pithing Needle for Kaito and maybe Tamiyo's Backside. From here, these are mostly reasonable cards. I'm going to cut Sylvan Library in the face of Orcish Bowmasters for sure. Witherbloom Command is okay versus Bowmasters. Might be cutting a Crop Rotation or 2. They're great with Eumidian Hatchery. I have Smallpox and Wasteland and Crop Rotation for that. I think I am okay with this. But I've got to win 2 in a row for the trophy now. And damn it, I want that trophy. Loam Pox trophy feels great. I have an okay hand here. I don't think it's anything special. I'm not going to mulligan it. I would really like to see removal in my opening hand, and I don't have that. But I have a decent sized body that can clear the graveyard. I have a Source of Inevitability. I have a decent spell to play turn 2. This represents graveyard hate and bodies as well. I'm not easily wastelandable off of resources. There's a lot to like here, even if the hand isn't perfect. And if I play Malevolent Rumble on turn 2, my future cards will be daze proof. Yep, absolutely. That occurs. And this was one of the things to like about this hand, right? Bioing will continue until morale improves. Opponent's got a Delta. Smallpox. 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 It will be dazable if I cast it this turn. I think I'm fine with that. This is massive if it resolves. It is dazed. That's fine. Like, next turn, I can throw down Urza Saga, Malevolent Rumble, and Spellbomb or something like that. I could also just do Ambush Endurance. Ponder's fine. I conceptually like the idea of Ambush Endurance a lot. I have to be careful about using my life total as a resource because one of my win conditions, Eumidian Hatchery, is innately connected to my life total. You of the devil. Are we doing that? I think I'm doing that. And I think there's enough random bullshit that I do that this is not necessarily a telegraphed endurance. Underground Sea available. Goyf comes in. That has to be green. Here comes endurance. Don't necessarily expect this to resolve, but it's great if it does. It is another daze, unfortunately. Tempo deck feels real good when you have a multiple daze draw. I'm just gonna brainstorm with the floating mana. I'll take 3 here, going to 13. Ooh. Mox Diamond. Okay. So Mox Diamond. Discard Saga. Life from the Loam with 2 targets. I think tapping the Hatchery. Play Urza Saga as land drop. Play Malevolent Rumble around a daze. Mox Diamond. Mox Diamond. Now, play Mox Diamond. We're just trying to grow the artifact count for Urza Saga here. Do that. Throw down a Spellbomb and pass the turn. Now we're playing Murktide Regent Chicken, where I don't want to fire this off too early, because this can be a fog for Nethergoyfs. But if I fire it off on my turn, then my opponent could go like Brainstorm, Ponder, Fetch, and these could end up right back at the same size. There's land drop. Is it Murktide Regent? No, it's not. Let's go. And since that was an island and my opponent played their land drop, now they can't hit me with a Murktide this turn. So this is actually really, really big. Ooh, yeah. Regen response? No. So I think I am going to do this here. My opponent might crack their own Spellbomb in response to this, which means that I will exile their Spellbomb and not leave that in graveyard, which is fine. So I still get to draw my card here. Malevolent Rumble is great. I exile my opponent's graveyard. I take 0 here. And then I have an Urza Saga ticking up with multiple Mox Diamonds. Dismember is okay. I think I will start here with Malevolent Rumble. Oh, those are great. I think I'm just taking Mazavith. Pithing Needle is tempting. Okay. I'll pass here. I am in a very, very strong position. I'm going to have a pair of 5/5s versus my opponent's 0/1 creatures. And I have a Dismember for a Tamiyo. Or a Barrowgoyf. Blooded Strand as the follow-up here. That's fine. 1 power, 2 power, 3 power. So these are, in theory, 3/4 creatures. This is a 3/3. I think I just block one with an Eldrazi spawn and maze the other. And not risk anything weird happening to my construct token. I don't care about the Eldrazi spawn. They are just life. That's their one job. I think I'm going to be golden outside of some sort of engineered explosives style haymaker. This is great. So those are 4/4s. Opponent fetches in response. I think I have another spell bomb. I do. I am into attacking for 5 here for sure. I am now the beatdown. Fatal Push is fine. I'm thinking about whether, like, what I'm doing with this. I think I'm just passing the turn. I think this game going long favors me. Petty Theft on a token is annoying. That occurs. Alright, opponent is just passing. I am into ticking up Hatchery more. Just calling that good. Saga is great. Then I'm good with just kind of prolonging the game. My opponent might be forced to take a redraw here. And they are. And in respect of the Murktide Regent chicken game, I think I'm just gonna do this here. Take my redraw. Crop Rotation is even more value. That's disgusting, honestly. I could have thought a little harder about wastelanding my opponent there. Cameo's fine. I am holding a Dismember specifically for that card. Let's go Eumidian Hatchery, green mana, Crop Rotation, sacrifice Eumidian Hatchery. There's a bunch of friends. I pick up an Urza's Saga here. And then I have some floating mana. I'm going to Dismember Tamiyo. Yeah. Brainstorm's not going to save this Tamiyo if I have a bunch of insect tokens that can attack. This is all great. Is that the concession? That's a concession. Let's fucking go. We forced the game 3. This is very fun, but holy shit, this is stressful. I don't think I am changing anything. I like everything that I have access to. We didn't see a Barrowgoyf that game, which means we didn't show it either, which is good. My opponent might end up like very aggressively, fatal pushing a token or something that doesn't actually matter, and then this comes down and steals a game later on. Given how that game went, I almost wish I had more spell bombs. Very good in this tempo matchup. The Mox Diamond in this hand isn't particularly strong. I almost just wish it was another land. But we have 2 removal spells here. This is fine. Underground Sea and Tamiyo. Tamiyo is a very, very spooky card. I think I have to try to Bitter Triumph that on turn 1, despite the fact that Daze is a card that exists. Alright, I'm getting a basic land here. I cannot afford to be wastelanded right now. Black is Smallpox, green is Endurance. I think I have more black cards here. My Crop Rotations are not good right now. They are real cards later. I'm going to do this. Alright. First goal, fast. I have boarded out some number of Crop Rotations, right? I believe this is both of the Crop Rotations that are currently in my deck, which is a little unfortunate, but that's okay. Veil Land keeps a card on top, and it is a Nethergoyf. Currently a 2/3. That's fine. Mox Diamond is the worst draw in my deck right now. I think I just discard that. And we're just going to take that off of the board. Success. So now, hopefully, I draw a land, stick a Goyf, and we're good to go. Third land. My opponent's Goyf. Hate that for me. We might be in I have to do shameful things territory. And I hate it. I think I have to do shameful things. Crop Rotation, sacrifice Swamp. Yeah, Mazavith. I can't really cast my spells right now. But I don't think I can let this connect. This connecting is terrible. We need to dodge Wasteland. F. I think that costs me the trophy. It takes a little while for me to die, but that is devastating. All right. Goyf is a 4/5. Spellbomb's fine. All right. Green mana, Crop Rotation, Sacrifice Maze of Ith. Do I need this to be Mortuary? I think I need this to be Mortuary to select for my next land drop. That's fine. Opponent attacks for 4. They're going to crack Spellbomb to make this 5. That means that I can never get that Maze of Ith back. That's in exile forever, unfortunately. Wait. Miscount. Land, creature, instant, artifact. Oh, there was no sorcery. Now there is. Now it's a 5/6. Oh, they took things out of my graveyard. Got it. Delta fetches. Opponent's at a healthy 26. Don't want to see another threat here. Like a Murktide Regent is really rough. I don't think I can use Endurance in response to the fetch land there. I think I need both of these cards as this game goes along. But this is obviously bad. Oh, it's Escaped Nethergoyf. Sure. I think it's this one first. And hopefully we go Goyf for Goyf. And then I use Endurance on Nethergoyf. And try to do some Life from the Loam Wasteland nonsense. Both are coming in. Brazen Borrower? Smells like Brazen Borrower. It is Fatal Push. Was there a Revolt? There's not Revolt? Oh, this is going to be cool. It's dazing their own Fatal Push to trigger Revolt. So this is now lethal damage, which unfortunately means that I have to do this. Sweet line from the opponent, by the way. So I'm going to turn 9 damage into 1 damage. And then hopefully I top deck another Goyf or Endurance. Or equivalent. Like a Liliana is fine, for example. Hatchery is not what I'm looking for. Sewers comes back down. Basically anything going to the graveyard is good, right? I think I take the hit for 5. Oh, there's more. Kaito! That was after no blocks. So I am at 1. I'm not sure if I am on outs anymore. Like, my opponent gets that Nethergoyf, has 3 different bodies in play, and has Kaito card advantage and Kaito stun available. I think they stopped my trophy run. I'm not going to tap Eumidian Hatchery, believe it or not. That's a BREW. You stopped my trophy run, Cutter Slade. And we end up with a very, very respectable 4-1 record that was nearly a trophy. Okay, this was a really, really good Eumidian Hatchery deck. So, overall thoughts on the deck list. Lore sent me the original version. I polished it up a little bit. This feels pretty darn good. I think there's still some room for tinkering. So for example, I boarded out Sylvan Library a lot. We played against a lot of decks that could potentially contain Orcish Bowmasters or decks that were fast, and I didn't like Sylvan Library in either cases. I could see playing one more tutor target for Urza's Saga in the 75. Like, your choice of Shadow Spear or Lava Spur Boots, I think would be reasonable. Especially if you end up boarding out the spell bombs, you can be very, very light on actual things to tutor up when you don't have a land in hand for Mox Diamond. Eumidian Hatchery is a relatively strong card. You jump through some hoops in comparison to something like Quarry Steelcutter, but it can allow you to turn some corners very, very quickly. It can buy a lot of time via chump blockers. There's a lot to like there. I love the 4x Goyfs, 2x Endurance in the sideboard. That felt absolutely perfect. Maybe the list could use an Abrupt Decay or Assassin's Trophy or 2. But generally speaking, I would not change too much here. I like what's here a lot. You are going to play very, very long, very, very skill-intensive games of Magic if you are piloting this deck. But if you don't make too many mistakes, this is not bad. And we ended up having at least a solid matchup versus the various blue-black decks, which is a very good sign. And if you're an inbred metagame, like having 2 spell bombs in the main deck, like definitely a good thing. All right, with that, I think I've earned a little snack. I'm going to go find a snack and then get to my editing. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!